Sir, should we start?
Yes, we can start. Yeah, Sakshi, over to you.
Okay. So, good morning, everyone. Today, as we celebrate a significant milestone in our nation's history, the 78th Independence Day, I want to first extend my heartfelt wishes to each of you. A very happy Independence Day. As we honor the spirit that our country stands for, today is the day to honor the legacy of those who fought for our rights and to reaffirm our commitment to these ideals in every aspect of life. As we honor the spirit of freedom that defines our country, let us reflect on the values of rights, duties, justice, and equality that our country stands for. Now, let me welcome you all to the 1 week capacity building program on POSH Act, jointly organized by Pro Bono Club Kashmir Law College and Pro Bono India. We are now on the fourth day of our 1 week capacity building program, and today we are fortunate to have Dr. Krishna Mehta with us, a distinguished legal scholar and practitioner who will lead us in exploring understanding the redressal mechanism under the POSH Act. Ma'am holds PhD in law from Gujarat University with a specialization in intellectual property rights. Her research mainly revolved around software patent. She has hands-on experience of training people for patent drafting and trademark filings. She has a wide experience and of more than 13 years of litigation and academics. Ma'am interests include developing and exploring different pedagogies for meaningful class engagement. She recently cleared the WIPO Harvard Law School first edition course on patent and global public health. Madam is also an adjunct professor at Ahmedabad University and Adani University. As a visiting faculty, she is also engaged with various universities like including Gujarat National Law University, Nirma University, Gujarat University, Ahmedabad Management Association, and many more. She is a member of Ethics Committee at LM Pharmacy College. She is a certified POSH trainer, and thus we are very fortunate to have her here. During 2012, she worked as Chief Minister Fellow under the able leadership of Sri Narendra Modi, then Chief Minister of Gujarat, and suggested remarkable suggestions to the Administrative Reform Department, the Government of Gujarat. She is passionate about connecting theory and practical aspect while teaching IPR rights and empowering the trainees with hands-on skill. She has her own legal consultancy which majorly deals in drafting contracts, family matters, and IP filings. Her hobbies include photography and creative writing, and she has a blog connecting souls in her name. Now, let me invite Ma'am. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Sakshi. Good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, audible here.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Very happy Independence Day, and I'm grateful to Pro Bono Kashmir Law College and Pro Bono India and Dr. Kalpesh Kumar Gupta for inviting me and giving this opportunity. I have been attending this session since Monday, and yeah, I think we will have some interesting, good interactive session. I look for the interaction and answering your many questions. I hope the screen is visible, and for paucity of the thing, I hope it is okay if I keep. So. Are we good to begin? Yeah, so what I have observed, participants, you can write in the chat box. You can raise the question once I'm done with PPT. So, we'll take as many questions as possible. Okay. So, yeah, and we can also connect through LinkedIn, email. We'll be happy to connect with you. Okay, so the topic which is allotted to me today is straight talking about the redressal mechanism. Okay, and when we say this, I'll move to the next slide. Just to quickly, because I'm a teacher, of course, legal consultant, POSH trainer, but still a teacher at heart. A quick revision, either write in the chat box or you can unmute yourself and say whether this situation is a sexual harassment or not. Is my voice okay? Is it crack? Am I audible properly?
Ma'am, right now you are audible. It was cracking a little in between.
But
Okay, I will
yeah,
take care. Please inform me. Kalpesh bhai, are we good?
yeah, good to go. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Is this sexual harassment? Participants, can you please write or unmute yourself and say after reading the fact sheet? Okay, I'll open the chat box also. Dipanshi is saying no. All of you saying no. Why? Because there is no harassment at workplace. Staying late for the work purpose is not harassment. Okay, so this is one. Some of the unanswered questions due to paucity of time, I think in yesterday's session or previous session, I'll just take 5 minutes to answer some of the questions which I had noted down. One of the participants asked that what is the difference between workplace harassment and sexual harassment? Workplace harassment can be bullying, can be discrimination, can be racial discrimination. It can be passing some, unproductive remarks as well. But when you talk of sexual harassment, the harassment which is intending to harm the dignity of a person, one. Two, the harassment is intending of, the intention of the harassment is of a sexual nature. Workplace harassment can be even bullying, also racial discrimination. So that's the first difference. Second question: some of the participants asked that what if a male is sexually harassed by a female? Under POSH, it will not come because the law talks specifically as aggrieved women. But the male employee or employer can definitely go under the HR policy and initiate some disciplinary action. Beyond the organization, they can even file a police complaint. The third question which mentioned was, will term dear deemed offensive by an individual if whether it falls under POSH or not? Ideally, it should not, because we are human beings and we connect at workplace also. But if a person is feeling offensive or if a person feels uncomfortable, then definitely we need to stop. This is also a cultural concern. If you go and connect with the Western country employees, it is okay if they say dear, hi, how are you? They call with the first name also, which is also the case in our situation, our organization. But then still that. So dear, if it is offensive or if someone is feeling uncomfortable, then yes, it can fall under POSH. Sexual harassment of women in public transport. If the transport is managed by the management, is owned by the management, then yes, it can fall under POSH. Otherwise, if it's a private transport bus, then the bus operator can be informed, or the public transport, then of course the common law remedy, the police or the bus or the department. If female employee of company A is harassed by employee of client company B, where the complaint should be filed. Complaint can be filed in either of the POSH commute, ideally into the company of A. If it is more than 10 employees, then in the company of A. ICC grievance of higher education or sexual harassment only. One of the question was that whether ICC covers the higher education grievances. Answer is no. Only the sexual harassment concerns or cases can be taken care of by the ICC. Can transgender file the complaint under POSH? A person who is identifying herself as a woman, it can be a trans woman, it can be any of the women, if they are identifying themselves as women, then they can file the complaint. And telling women do not wear revealing clothes, Yes. If the work ethics and code of conduct specifically says that you are supposed to come in a formal clothing or a particular type of clothing, and if a woman is trying to reveal, then if the management or the boss or the manager says, then it is definitely under the code of conduct. Otherwise, they cannot communicate that don't wear revealing clothes. Yes, Krupa, you have raised your hand.
Hello,
Is
ma'am.
there a
Thank you
question
so much
here?
for answering the
Yes.
unanswered question. Yes, ma'am.
Right.
There is one
Thank you.
question which is haunting me since long. The POSH Act provides that any organization having more than 10 employees has to have IC committee. So that the word
Right.
used is employee and not female employees. And on the other hand, there is a
I will come to that question. I think you had asked this question yesterday, if I'm not wrong.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I will come to. I have deliberately not included it in this slide because there is an ICC. Can you hold for few
Sure.
minutes? In some few minutes, I'll answer this. Thank you,
Thank you so much,
Krupaji.
ma'am. Thank you.
Uh, okay, is this sexual harassment? The slide which is talking about Suchi? Yes. Is this sexual harassment? Please write down in the chat box. Or maybe say yes or no, whatever. Maybe yes, no, three answers. Uh, many of you are saying yes. Some of you are saying no. Why? Maybe if Asghar Ali ji or the one who has said no, Priyanka ji, if you can say why no. Why no? Or why yes, if anyone can answer this question. Why yes? Writing in the chat box, I'll just quickly read. Yes, okay. Sakshi is saying yes because she's asked to wear attire rather than formal. Okay, depends on the impact of the sex. Remarks on appearance comes under POSH. Remarks on the appearance comes under POSH only if it is harming. Here, asking to wear the dress code for the court, or because she's a lawyer and she's associated with law firm, if she's not wearing the dress code of the court, then definitely the management can say. But here, the manager specifically, the partner specifically, is asking to wear something which makes her more attractive rather than formal. She can claim, she can file under a POSH. Okay, so with this basic understanding, I'm happy that many of you have, answering interestingly that yes, it is attractive. Wear such a cloth because it looks attractive. It can come under POSH. Otherwise, it cannot come under POSH because asking the women to wear as per the code of conduct, or the code of conduct or the formal clothing, then it is not coming under POSH. Sexual harassment definition, we are, listening since Monday, so I'm not bringing the repetition here. But if you look across the cases, of the sexual harassment across the globe, most of the time, the sexual harassment is about showing the power or intimidating the other person. Sexual attraction can be one of the element, but the dominism or the powerful position is trying to, demean the women employee, and that is the reason the victims are facing, the vulnerability at workplace because they are not able to say no to the bosses. Okay, and that is the reason when we say the sexual harassment law, the intention is not mattering much. The impact of the sexual harassment action or transaction matters the most. I'm repeating. Of course, when you want to prove a crime or an offense, the mens rea or the guilty intention plays a major role. Yes, if it is intentionally done, then yes, it definitely comes under the sexual harassment. But the law revolves around that what impact this kind of action or the transaction is leaving on the victim's mind or the complainant's mind, then it can be considered as a sexual harassment. So absolutely, it is a subjective part. Absolutely, it is talking about the how the women is feeling uncomfortable. So it is very, very subjective. Yesterday, some of the comments I was reading, many of you had said that, Madam, this is, this is just the subjective part. Yes, it is, but it depends on the victim and the complainant, that how she's feeling, how the impact is. So I'm just giving an example. When sexually colored remarks, the verbal sexual harassment, physical harassment, or even the digital harassment showing pornography or adult content. If I'm a male, I'm a singer, and I'm singing at a low pace at my desk working. Say abhi na jao chhod ke dil abhi bhara nahi. Okay, now I'm sorry, I'm not a very good singer, but say if I say that abhi na jao chhod ke dil abhi bhara nahi, I might be practicing as a singer, but of course not at a high voice. And if a women employee passes by and she feels that he's trying to, connect with me, or he's me, that my intention is never to harm, but the impact might be, because the lyrics, one of the wonderful song, but the lyrics is abhi na jao chhod ke dil abhi bhara nahi. Some might feel offended. The other important aspect in the sexual harassment cases we need to take care is consent versus unwelcomeness. And that is the reason the many of the false complaints under POSH comes, which says that women, I am feeling now uncomfortable, or yes, I had given consent, but now I'm feeling uncomfortable just because the male employer colleague has said no for the relationship, or is not interested in the female employee, or do not want to continue the relation. The table can turn, and the responsibility of IC is more here to check whether the complainant is absolutely saying, the truth, or there was a consent, from day one. So we will see a small little video also in the coming slides. Am I reaching? Are we good? The pace and everything, my voice and everything, are we good here?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So when you're dealing with POSH, three things needs to be taken care of, 3W. One is that there has to be a women complainant. Okay, yes, it can feel, you may feel that, why this is discriminatory, why we are not involving men, why we are not involving other gender. But this law is specifically talking about moment, and I need to accept. With due respect to the other genders in the audience, yes, many of the POSH complaints are false, malicious, but the ratio is very less compared to the original complaints and the fair complaints. The second W we need to take care while dealing with POSH is the workplace. Whether this harassment has taken place in the workplace. Okay, now workplace definition already discussed yesterday by Sangeeta Madam, but workplace, it can be extended workplace, it can be workplace where you're working, it can be an intern working at your office, it can be a domestic worker working at our home, workplace. So harassment has to be at workplace. Third, the working relation, the third W plays a major role here. When we say working relation, whether the complainant and the respondent is having a working relation or not. If it is not working relation, it can fall under any of the other sections of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Now, earlier Indian Penal Code, now Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. It will only fall under POSH if it is through a working relationship. And this all three W's needs to be present. Complaint. Okay. Okay. Otherwise, okay, if it is a man, if it is done outside, if it is not a working relation, and if it's just, even if it's a sexual harassment, it can go under police. You can go to magistrate, you can file as per the HR code of conduct, or whatever HR policies or the code of conduct of the organization, but not under POSH. So here also I'll reiterate, men getting sexually harassed at workplace can go and file a complaint before the HR and the disciplinary committee, but not under POSH. Okay. The constitution of the IC, again, this, so I was feeling that what I will be talking about, but let us quickly go through the constitution of IC. Yes, coming to the Krupaji's question, that what if there is no senior employee, women? That was the first observation, that the law says that women employed at senior level amongst the employees. So, Krupaji, I'm your question, then I'll take a pause. If you have further question, we can take further. The more than 10 employees, internal committee; less than 10 employees, local committee, district committee, either of them. And the presiding officer in the internal committee needs to be a woman. Women employed at senior level at the workplace amongst the employees. The committee should have people who are working for the gender justice, women, laws, who are aware, who can handle these cases. The law is very clear. The courts are very clear when they are giving judgments dealing with constitution of IC, that people who have experience in women-related issues, social work, legal knowledge, they can become the member of the committee. Just because I'm having a law degree and I have never practiced, or I do not have any, practical knowledge, I cannot be a external committee member, or I cannot be a member even. Okay. Yes, is my voice, I'm sorry, is my voice audible properly? Are we good here?
Yes,
I
yes, yeah,
hope,
audible.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
okay. And then the external member, even the external member, whosoever he or she is being invited, generally the women should be the external member. But we have seen in the organizations that 2 external members are being invited, either from NGO, either from the committed cause, or women person familiar with issues, etc. If the IC is not constituted properly, up to 50,000 rupees fine is being mentioned, and if the offense is if the compliance is not done for the second time also, then even the suspension of certain business licenses is the penalty given. In a meanwhile, I'll share which section of the law. But yes, the organizations have been fined if the IC is not constituted properly. Now, when Vishaka guidelines was given by the Supreme Court, and the law came into existence in 2013, in between, many of the organizations were, they were finding loopholes to not have the IC, or not having, the proper constitution, or the legal officer who is dealing with the company's cases is made, say, external member. After the law got enacted in 2013, it has been restricted. Talking of my own personal story, I am external member to many of the organizations, but I'm not associated with the organization, neither the management. Okay, and that is the reason the external member needs to know the causes and cases of women, then only they can become the external member. Another question was the rule of 3 years applies to the external member also. Yes, the committee needs to, the tenure of the committee is 3 years. Many a times the organizations don't change completely because there are very few people who can handle these kind of cases. So presiding officer, yes, it changes. Maybe one or two other members may change. But the member who is that whether the whole committee should be changed or whether few members should be, but it is better that the presiding
Ma'am, sorry
officer,
to
etc.
interrupt you. Just a moment ago, your voice was not able to audible for a few seconds when you were describing this. Just a few seconds ago. May Hello.
Yes, I'm listening. Am I not audible? What is happening? I think I'm having the data also proper.
Just repeat
Let's
it, ma'am. Just
yeah,
repeat it.
it happens for I think few seconds. I would say 4 5 seconds. But no problem. Please carry on. Over to you.
But is the topic clear? I see constitution. Is there any question here? Then we can take the question. Krupa ji, your question, if at all you want to. Okay, she might not be around. Okay, this is the timeline.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Hello.
Have I answered your question here or
Uh, no, ma'am. Actually, I wanted to confirm. See,
yes?
when there is no female employee, but the law mandates that I need to have an IC committee. So, what should I do? Whom should I appoint as chairperson?
Right. If you do not have a women employee in your organization, and if there are sister organizations, then the senior most women employee should be invited. If there is no such branch office or any sister organization, you can invite a member, and with the committee decision, with the consent of the committee, the external member can become the presiding officer. But most of the time, you may have, say, someone who is then the senior as a senior most. But if you do not have, then definitely external member will be invited, who is a senior woman who is dealing with these cases, and a, a resolution can be passed that because there is no women employee, the external member is supposed to be the presiding officer. Krupaji.
All right, ma'am. And is there any judgment or something to support this?
I will have to look into. I will share in maybe if today, if not today, maybe latest photo.
Sure, ma'am. So kind of you. Thank you.
Right. Amit Kumar ji saying fees for external member. I was expecting this. Fees, ideally, it is depending on the organization. Many of the external members also, there are people who will, it's a mutual contract between the organization and the external member. Law is silent on the fee structure. Ma'am, can any lady practicing as lawyer in district court can be an external member? Yes, they can. But the lawyer should not be associated with any of the management, management people, or not with the company dealing into cases of the company. What about third party harassment not under working relation? Third party, if it's a contract vendor entered into a contract with the company, POSH can be applied. If it is absolutely third party, say some stranger is coming, say we are going to say some mall and say as a consumer, then the consumer can also approach the POSH committee. But generally, the consumers either file a police complaint or addresses the issue to the management, etc. But third-party relation with the company under a contract can definitely file a complaint under the POSH. So there are cases where organization is giving the contractual, work to the sweepers or to the say cleaning staff or the house, what you can say the home, what you can say the cleaning staff. And if a woman is harassed by the employer or the employee of the organization, she can sit under POSH and can get the remedy. I'm not able to read the names of the people, but I will. But I hope I'm able to answer this question. 250 is prescribed earlier. 200 or something is prescribed, but most of the time, sir, it is depending on the company and the external member. Many of the external member, they do not take. Many of the member gets only the fees when there is such inquiry. If it is just a routine meeting, then the organization is not paying. But it is generally depending on the contract between, because most of the time, contract or the appointment order, which is in writing. Amit Kumarji. Whom to approach and how if one becomes okay. I'll come to the external part. Is it not consider conflict of interest if paying more than rupees 250 per seating? I will answer this question at a later point, Amitji, if you don't mind me answering this at a later point. The practical aspects. Is that okay, Amitji, if I'm answering this question? at a later point. Amrita Anandji is asking whom to approach and how if one wants to become external member. Generally, the external member is, maybe through, through the networking or through LinkedIn posts, or some of them list down the, that we do provide, say, services as external member. We don't, to best of my knowledge, we do not have a database of external members like we have, say, arbitration or arbitrators or mediators. But yeah, I think if the government, but there is no such policy where you can register as an external member. But maybe through the networking, or through, if you are already in the system doing work for social work, then you can. Other answers, other questions, I will respond at a later point, because we are still midway the procedure. Maheshi, you have raised your hand. We'll take this question and then we'll take questions after a while. Yes, Maheshi, आपने हाथ raise किया है. Would you like to ask the question?
Ma'am, you just gave an example that a employee who is singing a song and a woman passes by, or a colleague passes by, and in that particular instant, does that woman have to prove her allegation, or is it just based on her baseless allegation that the action will be taken? And
Very
if
good.
so,
Mhm.
we prove it.
Very good question. I'm not denying any of the questions. I have a slide what to do when there is no proof, or there is no such evidences. Can you hold your question for some time? In some slides, I'll answer this question. Mahesh ji.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is the timeline. Yesterday also, some of the participants asked that till what time we need to file. The law says within 3 months. Within 3 months of the complaint or the incident. Law is also saying within 3 months from the last incident. Okay, so we will see the fact sheet in a while. Within 3 months from the date of last incident. Then with the same perpetrator or with the same respondent, then the complaint can be filed. And then the respondent is to be informed. Once the respondent is informed, he will give the written response. The written response should have the evidence list of witnesses, oral witnesses, or the documentary evidences if the respondent wants to prove in his defense. Before they sit for inquiry, the complainant, on the request of complainant, the conciliation can take place. I'm still talking of 2013. There are rules proposed in 2024 bill. That is the last slide of my presentation. I'm not talking of that, but conciliation is an alternate dispute resolution. Law says that before the inquiry starts, if the complainant wants to sit across the table with the respondent and wants to conciliate, then they can do. It has to be done in the presence of the internal committee. And here the conciliation cannot be the settlement through money. So law is very clear that that one chance, if the complainant wants to sit across the table and respondent wants to accept, or whatever conciliation out of court, out of the alternate dispute resolution they want to opt for, they can, but no money settlement is there. It should be there. If the respondent wants to deny, saying I don't want to conciliate, if the complainant wants to say I don't want to conciliate, then the inquiry starts. Once the inquiry starts, presiding officer presence is very much required. And if it is a large committee, say we have seen organizations where they have 7 members of the committee, then they for the first inquiry they set, say, 5 people with presiding officer. And then if they want to go to appeal, say after inquiry, and they give their decision, recommendation, and either party do not want to accept that, then they can sit in the appeal, and the other 2 or 3 members can hear the appeal. We have also seen the organizations where the committee size is less, and there are only 4 people or 5 people. So all of them sit for the inquiry, and then the appeal goes to the court. Within 10 days, the inquiry report needs to be submitted. And when we say this, the 60 days, the employer has to take the action. When we say action, the committee is only supposed to recommend. Committee is not supposed to take the decision. I hope I'm getting some annotations on my screen. If we can restrict participants to do that. Aprajita ji, please do not try to write anything or underline because it is visible to all the participants. It might be unintentional. Please take care. Okay. Are we all having the fact sheet with us, which was shared through the WhatsApp group? Or shall I share it here also? I hope you have the fact sheet with you. Can anyone answer this? We have shared, yes, you have, right? Okay. How many of you feel that, so please keep that handy. How many of you feel that this is a case of sexual harassment? How many of you feel? If anyone can answer this or maybe write in the chat box that it is.
We can give 5 minutes for the right to read. I think it's, I don't know how many have read.
Okay, you want me to share it here, Kalpesh? I can share it here also.
Yeah, you can share here also, and
Okay.
then at least they can read in 5 minutes. I don't
Okay.
think how many have read.
Many of them said yes, so but I'll just share it in another just a second. Huh? Yes, is it visible? No, it is not. Right, I'll share it. So I'll just brief you. There is this one lady called as Unnati. She is a personal secretary of the CEO. There is another lady which is there, Rachel. And Rachel has informed and declared herself as lesbian to the management, but Unnati is not aware of. And there are certain sexual, intimate behavior which Rachel is doing it with the Unnati. So if you can read it here, I'm just highlighting my cursor here. Rachel suddenly tried to hold Unnati's hand and said, "Hey, honey, you look so beautiful today. Let us take a small break from work, go for coffee in my favorite shop." Then she's writing through SMS. She's saying that she gave some gifts in terms of intimate perfumes and some other gifts, etc. And then she also tried to show some porn content from her phone. Do you think this is a sexual harassment under POSH, which Unnati can do it? It is sexual harassment. Many of you are saying it is sexual harassment. That means the respondent can be a female also. The law says aggrieved party because the definition says women, but the respondent says any person who is trying to create ruckus or is indulging into sexual harassment. Okay, now with these facts, you can keep this handy. I'm again going to my is my screen slides visible again?
Yes. Visible.
Right.
Yeah.
POSH is limited to respondent can fight. Now, what you are supposed to take care. I believe that we need to give you some practical insights. So rather than talking, the philosophical aspects, I want you to know how to mention things in the complaint and what you need to take care while if you're sitting as in the committee member, what you are supposed to take care. Now, the complaint has to be in a writing form. Please note that the complaint has to be in writing only. You cannot meet the IC member and orally communicate an IC that has writing. It can handwritten, it can be an email, it can be a post, it can be through registered post, it can be through writing it and putting it in the complaint box. But the complainant should not be anonymous in nature. I'm only specifically talking from the POSH perspective. We are not talking of any other part. So participants, please keep that in mind. For the POSH complaint, the complaint has to be in writing. all of the details of the incident needs to be complained. It can be handwritten. I recently handled one case which was handwritten. Okay, the handwriting was not very good, but when she appeared before the committee, we asked her to write it in proper way, so that it can be documented. Okay, the respondent details, I cannot just write that two men are harming me as a women employee. I need to mention as a complainant the respondent details, because then only inquiry committee will be able to, inquiry committee in the sense the IC can, then only send the summons to the note, to that. That there is these person or that person, then the list of witnesses needs to be also allow the digital evidences in terms of course, Indian Evidence Act do talk of this also, but the law is also saying that screenshots, WhatsApp messages, emails, phone recordings sent, the adult content which is sent through WhatsApp or email, all of these can become the documentary evidences. I'm still talking from the POSH complainant, but she should not make a false complaint. There are cases where the false complaints are being proved by the men. The women complainant, false complainant have been demoted also and have been charged with compensation. So she had to give the compensation to the male employee. We have got these cases also. I'm not bringing the case details because we have a separate session on the landmark cases, but whatever I'm saying, I will supplement, in the coming days through WhatsApp reading. What if victim do not want to come forward because she feels shy? That is not possible. This case, what do you think with the Unnati Bala case? What do you think? Can the complaint be maintainable? Will the complaint be maintainable? Vasu has emailed to the IC. Can this complaint be maintainable? The answers are. I'm asking that will this complaint be maintainable if Vasu is approaching the IC, Vasu being a male employer CEO, if he approaches on behalf of Unnati, will this complaint be maintainable? Answer is no. No. Just because she's feeling shy or feeling awkward, no other person can complain. In physical incapacity, if the harm is so much that the victim or the complainant is not able to is not able to file the complaint before POSH, law says with written consent, the co-worker, the colleague, anyone can do that. In mental capacity, if the woman has suffered emotionally and mentally so much so that she's not able to communicate, or she's not able to come forward to the internal committee, then even the counselor or the psychiatrist can come forward. And in case of death, if the complainant has died, then in that session, the legal hair can also file the complaint. There are so brutal cases of sexual harassment in workplace that people have died. Okay, and there are family members who are not aware of this. There are family members who take the respondent to the court and they tell that this should not happen with any other. Okay, IC cannot. I can assist victim to file police complaint, but IC cannot force the complainant to go to police. And that is. I'm just taking a pause because I was a little numb. The moments which we handle as external committee just keeps on prompting. So IC can assist the victim to file a police complaint, but they cannot force. Okay. Why no police? Because that is the reason this internal committee law has, the law and this internal committee arrangement, because it's an organizational issue and women needs to have a safe workplace. So it's a to take of the employee. IC member presiding officer को शायद बोला गया, complainant ने बोला presiding officer को, presiding officer will have to tell, or any other IC member को बोला गया, then they will have to suggest and guide that you need to have a return complaint, either even the email or this, and then the inquiry takes place. Responsibilities of the internal committee, at the same time the respondent's return statement, the statement has to be in writing. Some of the cases they accept on email when the notice has been served to the respondent. As a reply only, they accept that yes, it is our mistake. Whatever committee wants to give the punishment, we are accepting. But many of the cases, no one is going to accept because the men feels that this is, I never intend, my intention was never this. And so very place. The responsibility of the internal committee is the time-bound treatment of complaints. There are cases where a committee has 6 months, the complaint has received, but after 6 months, the committee has taken the complaint in hand. Not allowed. There are cases where the internal committee is only informing the complainant, asking her to come to the inquiry, not sending the notice to the respondent, and they just recommend that the person needs to be terminated. Not allowed. Okay, so time-bound treatment of complaints, maintaining confidentiality during inquiry is a major responsibility of the internal committee. The committee members cannot reveal the data or the details of the cases to the to anybody else. They have to maintain the confidentiality. They can give the counseling. They can, if there is an in-house counselor or wellness center of the organization, they can send the person. So, and the important aspect is preparing an annual report. It is the duty of the internal committee to prepare annual report. If there is no complaint, if there is a zero complaint, then also the annual report needs to reflect that over this year, 1 year, there is zero complaint, 2 training awareness sessions, 5 training awareness sessions, 3 meetings conducted, zero complaint, but that is to be sent to the district officer, or even now to the Ministry of Women and Child, where you need to submit the annual report. There is a company and also my further slide will talk about. The essentials of an inquiry report has to be in writing. Contentions of both sides should be reflected in the proper manner. What kind of witnesses here Unnati and Rachel will be able to put? So first question. Sorry, I'm coming back to the fact sheet. Vasu complained. Vasu is writing to the maintainable. Unnati will have come forward because here in the fact sheet it is nowhere written that she is mentally incapable or physically incapable. Second, the evidences which she will have to prove. So what kind of evidences she will put in the inquiry committee? Can anyone quickly answer this question? I am going through some questions. I will come to all the questions. Askarali is saying, ma'am, please suggest what if Vasu is an ex-friend of victim and she's shy, illiterate, and not comfortable to present her incident. She will have to come before the committee. That is what I'm constantly saying, sir, that a committee anonymously complaint ले भी नहीं सकती है, किसी के सामने anonymous होके कर भी नहीं सकती है, और अगर करती है तो वो HR का issue हो जाता है, disciplinary issue हो जाता है. HR can send a notice that there are some cases here and there, but POSH cannot. A sexual harassment case cannot be taken care of by HR. When the law is there and mandating the IC, HR cannot handle. If person is not aware of and send the complaint to HR, HR has to forward it to the IC. Okay. The contentions. So what kind of evidences Unnati will present? There can be CCTV footage if it is happening in the same. So I want you to think also, but because of the paucity of time, I'm also answering this on my way. The email and the WhatsApp messages can be taken care of as an evidence. The behavior which is happening, say if it is happening in or the colleagues can be invited for can be named as the evidences, both sides. I'm talking both sides. The CCTV footage also can be called by the committee. The committee also can call for the CCTV footage if it has happened on and off. Because the committee has the power, committee has been empowered with the civil code. So civil court के पास जितने powers है, वो सभी powers इनके पास है except the judgment. Okay, so they can summon the witnesses and the complainant and the other side. They can lead the evidences. They can even cross-examine. Okay, so all the powers which the civil court has, this is the committee also has. Committee has to okay, I will take the questions once there are only few slides remaining. I want to present my slides in terms of the content. I'll take the questions. So I'm noting down the questions also, but let me finish, some points and then we'll take back. Committee has to recommend, recommendations has to be based on the service rules of the organization. Law is very clear. Committee will have to look into the service rules which are there can be different service rules for different organizations. IC has to recommend from that. If there is no service rule, then IC can recommend from a particular set of remedies which law is intending to. While IC is deciding the cases, IC will look into the reasonable women standards. IC will look into intent versus impact. Okay, they will consider these pointers. IC will look into the prior awareness, whether there was any such awareness campaigns, whether the victim or the complainant was aware that this kind of behavior is a sexual behavior, whether she tried to restrain the the employer, etc. And IC will also see the proof beyond reasonable doubt. So the question which Maheshji asked, that how to prove the allegations. Can a false claim be entertained? False claims should not be entertained, but the law says that just because the women is not having any evidence, say no documentary evidence, no such evidence, but wo chamber mein hua. Say I'm going to in boss chamber and boss says sexually harassed me. There is no CCTV, there is no other person, and then there is no such evidence. Then should IC believe that it is a false and malicious complaint? Law is restricting this belief. Law is saying that the IC needs to, law and the other cases also, the Supreme Court and the High Court's judgment also, that the IC will look then the perpetrator's intention, whether there were earlier any such complaints against the perpetrator, whether the complainant is trying to reveal something and is trying to lure the boss and is filing a false complaint. Internal committee will have to look into all of these, and look into this means they will have to cross-examine the complainant and the respondent both. So law is very clear. It is mentioned in the section, it is mentioned in the act that if the women is not, or the agreed women is not having the evidence, does not mean that she is filing a false complaint. Otherwise, what will happen? The people may not come forward and file the complaint. Once the inquiry begins, if the committee feels that this is a case of grave sexual harassment, rape kind of situation, where the woman is emotionally under trauma, physically under injury, if the complainant requests, the interim reliefs can be awarded. Interim relief is the pending the inquiry certain relief. The aggrieved woman can be transferred to another to another branch office or another department, or maybe she's asked to work from home. The respondent can be restrained from coming and attending the workplace. If the respondent is the supervisor, immediate supervisor, or if in the say educational institution, if it's the reporting officer, then the victim or the complainant should not report to him. The reporting officer or the reporting manager needs to be changed. If the complainant is the reporting officer, the aggrieved woman can also be given the leave, paid leave over and above she's entitled to up to 3 months. So that is also one of the situation where the law says that granting leave up to 3 months, respondent needs to be restrained. Maishi, I'll take your question in another few seconds. Can you hold on? I'll just finish some of the slides. There are so many things to share. I'm sorry, I don't want to shoot, but I'm just allow me to finish, and then some of the questions might be addressed here also. So. And the recommendations can be first through service rules, and then otherwise return apology. They can recommend a warning. They can ask the respondent to accept and reprimand. They can ask the respondent to do a community service. Many a times, male employees can be asked to go for a counseling session. The promotion can be withheld if the respondent is found guilty. The promotion can be withheld, the increment can be withheld, the pay rise can be withheld. Promotion withholding promotion is that the person is demoted by 2 or 3 ranks, then it is possible. Most of the remedies which we have seen is the termination of the respondent, because the organizations don't want to keep these kind of perpetrators. After due diligence and after all of the proofs and everything, if it is proved guilty, he is proved guilty, then he or she, because the respondent can be he or she or any other gender. The termination and then the compensation also. Compensation can be decided on the loss of career opportunity, mental trauma, the actual expenses of medical treatment, the income and the status of the alleged perpetrator. If the status of the perpetrator was such that he needs to be punished with the compensation, then the compensation can be calculated from that angle as well. The same recommendations can be possible if the complainant is a false complainant. So to prove and to protect the innocent men or the innocent respondents, the same remedies or the same recommendations can be made against the false complainant also. If it is proved that the complaint was false, malicious, to take a revenge from the male employee, क्योंकि project approve नहीं किया, women was trying to lure and the respondent said no, then then the same remedies can be, the women can also be asked to be terminated or demoted. Whether court is there any court role of a court in POSH? Ideally, no. If the committee is properly functioning, if the committee has given conducted proper proceedings, if the committee has given the final inquiry report, in the form of recommendations, and the employer has taken the action on the recommendations, then court will not interfere, because this is a statutory not to burden the courts. The IC needs to work properly. But if IC is not constituted properly, if IC is biased towards the respondent, if IC has not given due consideration to the respondent witness, respondent statement, respondent's, evidence defense, and has kept predetermined biases, then also the respondents have gone to the court and proved that the committee was biased towards me. If the IC has not conducted the inquiry properly, if the external member is not chosen properly, then also the court has interfered. Of course, once someone has to approach to the court, but court has played the role. Annual report, I just wanted to showcase the annual report. The annual report format can be, this way, where the reporting period, the number of complaints received, number of complaints disposed of, is there any pending case, number of workshops taken care of, what other initiatives the committee has, the organization has taken care of. You need to mention that when the committee prepares the report. Also, also, they will have to mention, if there is any case, then a summary of the case and what was the action taken. They will also have to mention that. The Companies Act is because many of the companies were to report these cases, because the annual report goes to the district officer. No one knows about, no one knows what is happening in the company. So now it is mandatory under Companies Act that they are supposed to include a statement in the director's report that the company has complied, has maintained the compliance under the law. Company has is giving a company, it is because it's a mandatory to have a internal committee. So that kind of statement under director's report needs to be reflected. And this is to be sent to the registrar of companies when they are sending it to as part of director's report. If they are not fulfilling this, the Companies Act has given the penalty. And that is why now it is mandatory that you need to mention in the director's report. I mentioned about the 2013, the law is 2013. But recently, 2020, 23 and 24, the proposed bill is, it is not yet turned into the law, it is still proposed. The proposal is still, it is a women-related law only. The proposal is not a diverse law that any employee. But the proposed bill says that earlier it was 3 months, it can go till 1 year. The challenge is that how a person will keep the evidences and documentary evidences till 1 year. So this is a challenge, but it has been proposed that a complainant can file within 1 year of the date of incident. The local committee, it is again the second proposal is that the local committee to be replaced with the employment tribunal. The local committee may be, gone, maybe the status of local committee will be turned into employment tribunal, which is a quasi-judicial authority, where the judge, women judge, will take care of. Earlier in the sense, at the moment, employer may act upon. The words used is may. May is a very different interpretation. I want to, I do not want to. As per the recommendations or as per the policy, HR policy. But now after 2024, I mean, if it is accepted, then it will be more binding nature that employer has to act upon. And also the changes are mentioned in terms of employment tribunal, that what kind of tribunal, can take care of. So this is because this is the latest update. So I thought that it is still not an act, but it may come across. We don't know when it will be converted into the law. Yesterday, some of the participants also mentioned that what the how the anti-sexual harassment policy should be. Every organization should have anti-sexual harassment policy, which mentions about zero tolerance of this such behavior. We have seen many organizations where it is a gender neutral policy. So you can have a gender neutral policy, but the IC will be able to take care of the women complaints only. Ensure that they are, there are posters in your offices, there are posters on your, corridors. One of the organization has kept the posters in the washroom, women washroom, just to retaliate that, are you facing any such thing? Then please report. Asking the top management, the employer needs to give the support, proper training programs to the IC. Even many of the times IC members are not aware how to draft the complaint, or how to, when I go to train them, they do not know how to even draft the complaint, because they just write in form of the minutes. So we need to have training programs for them, motivate the employees to share the concerns. There are whistleblowers deployed by the management just to take care that just to keep the workplace safe. Complainant needs to be taken care of with dignity, and even you can keep some games or test the employees. So when I was when I addressed the PRL senior people or the organization, they had conducted a quiz and they post the competition, and then they gave the certificates that those who were aware, say top 3, top 5 people, in spite of being senior management, they did some test or quiz. You can motivate the employees to keep a safe distance and everything from that aspect as well. So these things the employers can take care when they are dealing with this. I'm sorry, I was a little fast, but I wanted to share my my things, and then I will take the question. But before we take the question, I'll just want to show one small, one quick video, and then we'll do the needful. I'll just share it in another while. Uh, it was, I hope I was not in marathon kind of a speed. I hope I was able to reach all of you. Okay, is the screen visible? I'll just share it again. Yes. I'm just playing the audio now. So please tell me whether the screen is visible and audible. Yet no video, yet it will come now. Audible?
Yes, audible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
बाकी प्रोफेसर्स जो सीनियर थे वो इतना घुलते मिलते नहीं थे, अपने आप में ही रहते थे, फ्रेंडली एंड ओपन, और हमारे इंटरेस्ट भी काफ़ी मिलते थे। हम दोनों को पोइट्री लिखने का शौक़ था और बुक्स एक्सचेंज करते थे, तो ऐसे ही बस दोस्ती हो गई थी। मुझे कैंपस रेसिडेंस में शिफ्ट करना पड़ा क्योंकि मेरे हस्बैंड चले गए थे यूएस अपनी पीएचडी कंप्लीट करने, और उससे हमारे प्रॉब्लम्स और बढ़ गए। डिस्टेंस
अपने साथ शेयर करते थे?
हाँ, मतलब वी वर फ्रेंड्स। काफ़ी चीज़ों का एडवाइस लेती थी मैं उनसे। एक बार तो जॉब भी छोड़ने का सोच रही थी एंड ही एडवाइस अगेंस्ट इट एंड आई एग्रीड विथ हिम। और वैसे भी काफ़ी सपोर्ट करते थे, मतलब जब मैं शिफ्ट करके आई थी तो कभी में कोई शो होता था या कहीं अड्डे बाजी होती थी तो अक्सर हम साथ जाते थे। विंटर वॉज वेरी टफ क्योंकि हमारी मैरिज प्रॉब्लम्स बढ़ती जा रही थी और मैं बहुत स्ट्रेस्ड रहने लगी थी। एक बार उन्हीं के यहाँ डिनर था और जब सब चले गए मैंने सोचा कि थोड़ी देर और रुकूं, सिर्फ बात करना चाह रही थी मैं उनसे। और बात करते करते वो मेरे बाल सहलाने लगे। मैंने नोटिस ही नहीं किया, आई केप्ट टॉकिंग, पर सडनली उनके हाथ इधर उधर जाने लगे और मुझे समझ ही नहीं आया कि क्या कहूँ, और मैं वहाँ से चली गई। उसके बाद कॉलेज में मैं बहुत ऑकवर्ड फील कर रही थी। मैंने उनको अवॉइड करना शुरू कर दिया, स्टाफ रूम नहीं जाती थी। पर फिर मैंने सोचा कि वे मैच्योर एडल्ट्स, हम बैठ के भी तो बात कर सकते हैं, कोई मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग हो तो क्लियर करनी चाहिए। तो ही केम ओवर, बट देन ही डिड द सेम थिंग अगेन। मैंने कहा कि मैं शादीशुदा हूँ, तो उन्होंने कहा कि उन्हें नहीं फ़र्क पड़ता और वैसे भी ये हमारे बीच की बात है तो उसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होनी चाहिए। दैट रियली अपसेट मी अ लॉट। आई कुडंट डील विद दैट।
तो आपको लगा कि आपको यूनिवर्सिटी छोड़नी पड़ेगी इसकी वजह से?
हाँ, मतलब आई वॉज एन्जॉइंग माई सेल्फ एट द यूनिवर्सिटी। मेरा फ्यूचर काफ़ी ब्राइट लग रहा था मुझे, पर इट वॉज जस्ट वेरी अनकम्फर्टेबल। आई कुडंट डू इट।
Right. So, yes. So now we can take the questions. One thing I tell to all whenever I communicate and take sessions, workplace is a place where we all need to take care of ourselves. It is not that the work colleagues can never be friends. We have seen so many families having generations of friendships because of workplace. But if the boundaries or the dignity is going away, then it is a concern. Today I'm giving a consent, and after few months, if I'm feeling it uncomfortable and unwelcome, then yes, it can be considered as an unwelcome behavior. The IC role is important in checking whether this behavior is unwelcome or consent. And as my first slide mentioned, that most of these cases are because of the power dominance or because of the power, the power game. Many of the female employees are vulnerable, saying that boss ko kaise na bol sakte. And उसी की वजह से they give the consent, they allow themselves to be, allow themselves to face this kind of issue, and then they come to the IC. We are talking from the law perspective, and yeah, I think I'm done with my PPT, but we will take the questions, and I'll unmute myself in terms of video also. Uh, yes, Darshan, your question. I'll also open the chat box. So yes, Darshan ji, bataiye.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for
Good
the
evening.
wonderful session.
I hope I was able to reach all of you in
Yes,
terms
ma'am.
of content.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
as we
thanks.
all know that like in a company or in some factory, there is some acts for sexual harassment. There is it is a like something is pasted on the notice board. There are workshops taken place. Everything is there. There is punishment. There is some all such things. But what do you really think? Like as you are a member and I've seen many cases, what do you think that need to be changed actually? Like to stop all these things, even after having so many things, all these situations are coming. So what can be that major changes that can be done year after at least?
Correct. I may sound very traditional. I may sound as a traditional woman, etc. But I wish the civil society people, would have opposed the obscenity which is coming on our mobile screens through different OTT platforms. One. Two, I feel that it is every individual's responsibility to take care. Either it is a male or a female or any gender, it is our individual responsibility. Two. Three, any such thing happens with me, it is I who have to raise the concern. Okay, so if a person is looking at me in the workplace, and it's not with women. I said that men also do not feel happy when someone is touching, or someone is trying to lure, etc. But we need to say that sorry, boss, ये work group hai, don't send any such messages. Maybe even in the form of jokes, in the form of memes, etc. Three, when society fails to take care of the rights, the law has to interfere. I always feel that why we are not protesting with these content which is coming on the platform. There are many disturbed people who are not in their senses and are committing this. Even those people are not supposed to be, tolerated or pardoned. But when we say that, I am just trying to see person's dignity. I'm not able to see the person clothing, and then I'm just trying to, as a male. I'm sorry, my internet is a concern. Am I audible? Are we good? I think we need to, as a society, it's a mutual responsibility. It is a responsibility of the women also. I'm not saying that women are trying to lure. Don't misunderstand me. But we have seen some women at workplace who are trying to take undue advantage of men just because they want promotion, just because they want, they just want to have some fancy food at dinner or going out with some male. Innocent is welcome here. There has to be a line between consent and unwelcome behavior. I hope I'm able to. But I am surely saying obscenity and the bad words and the violence which is coming through OTT platforms on our screens. The younger generation, the older generation, whichever it is affecting the psychology and the mindset of the people. I might sound traditional, but I think this is my opinion. Yes, we'll go next. What about third party? I have answered. I hope, Darshanji, I have answered this. How can we become a POSH trainer? There are training programs going on. Earlier, Minister of Women, also the commission, this National Commission of Women used to conduct the trainings. But there are private institutions also who are taking care of these trainings. So you can become. No, it is not only that the unemployment part, but they need to know the training and the training modules. Then only you can become a trainer. Aparna ji say, can you tell whom to approach for workplace harassment? The HR policy, whatever is mentioned there, or the discipline policy. There are so many labor codes which are giving you a disciplinary procedure. You will have to approach there, Aparna ji. Employer has to take action within 60 days. Respondent have right to appeal within 90 days. It is not unfair with respondent. No, once a person goes to the appeal, the respondent, the employer will be informed. There is an appeal going on. They will not take an action. If they are taking an action, then also the person will go to the appeal. Amit Kumarji, it was your question.
Okay, yeah. One
POSH
one
is limited to
participant.
women
Good evening.
only. POSH is
One by one, please, please. Doctor
Good
Rohit.
evening.
Dr. Rohit.
My question.
Yes, ma'am.
I
Ma'am,
was
I'm talk.
reading from the chat message, but okay.
Please, one by
Okay,
one,
ma'am.
Dr. Rohit. I will ask and
Yes.
then
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Rohit.
Ma'am, thanks for this insightful session. Actually,
Thank you.
I had a concern that, ma'am, if I file a complaint under POSH, if any victim is filing a complaint, and is it necessary that she has to give the list of the witnesses in that?
If she is not giving the list of witnesses, if she has documentary evidences, it is okay. If she is having some witnesses, it is better to mention that so that the inquiry internal committee time is not wasted and then summons the witnesses also. But it is
Okay.
okay if they do not have any witnesses, but the documentary evidences, then it is okay.
No, she has one witness. Means in a case if she has a witness and the person who has done sexual harassment is her manager, and in that case, will that list of witnesses go to the manager also, because the co-colleagues maybe have concern about their
No.
job profile?
No. Everybody has to keep it confidential. The internal committee will inform the witness through email. Witness will be asked to come. It is a discretion of the witness whether to give the statement or not.
Okay,
But
no, my
manager,
concern.
reporting manager, or if the respondent.
No, my concern was in the complaint, if I disclose the name of the witnesses, will that all the format go to the person who has committed sexual harassment? Because even he will have get the chance to present his side, no? That's my concern.
Yes. They will. Yes, they will. Anyhow, if you are inviting a witness, the respondent has a right to cross-examine him or her also. So whatever is the complaint, the exact copy needs to be submitted to the demand.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Right.
Okay, next we'll take up 3 more questions. Then because we are running short of time, already we have exceeded time. Let me ask
I'm
Krupasha.
sorry for that.
Yeah, Krupasha.
She has already asked. I think we can go to some
Okay,
other
Amit Kumar
person.
or Sumit. Yeah, Sumit Kumar, Amit Kumar. Sumit already I unmuted you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sumit.
Good evening. Yeah,
Yeah,
Amit.
please.
Amit.
Amit,
Good
Amit
evening.
Kumar, please
Good
wait for
evening,
some
ma'am.
time. Sumit is in queue. Sumit, over to you. Then we'll come to Amit Kumar.
Good evening, ma'am. It's although it's a bit controversial, but I would like to ask that in view of the society that we are, becoming today, we are moving towards westernization, and also the live-in relationships are now very frequent and often the court is leaning in the favor of granting rights, protection, even the succession rights in many cases to the live-in relationship. But on the other hand, this is increasing cases of sexual harassment and violence against women. So, like, how do you view this thing, and how do you balance this out?
So you want to say that live-in relations in terms of work colleagues and then turning out as sexual harassment? Your question is intending to that part? Or you're just generally asking about my views? Sumit ji. Hello, am I audible? What I
Yes, ma'am.
understood
Ma'am,
from his question,
sorry to interrupt. Sorry to
living
interrupt, ma'am.
relations and then converting into work sexual harassment is what you are intending to ask?
Ma'am, I wanted to ask that basically it can convert into some sexual harassment as well at workplace as well, because let's say there are two people who gel well with each other, and they uh, they decide to cohabit with each other, and it turns into a live-in kind of thing. One of them may be married or
No,
separated,
so
or
I
any of
have
the cases
understood,
could
right.
exist.
So there might be a possibility that organization has the rule that the colleagues cannot have sexual intimate relations within them. Earlier it was only Western organizations, but in our the Indian situation also, there is a specific clause that the work colleagues should not have the intimate relations or the sexual relations. If that is the case, then both of them will be responsible.
But we cannot curtail their freedom,
They will,
ma'am.
the committee will. No, you cannot curtail, but when the committee is undertaking the inquiry or is inquiring and investigating, they will take this as a note. Workplace colleagues. I'm not able to answer this at this particular moment perfectly, but I'll answer all of the other questions also through
Ma'am,
Kalpesh bhai
okay,
in the
ma'am,
WhatsApp group, maybe
just to
in a day
wind
or
up,
two.
ma'am, just to wind up,
But
if you could
but we
briefly
can
tell
go
your
to we
view
can
on
go to next question.
live-in relationship, your view
Yeah, I
briefly on
said
that.
that if it is, no, it is depending on the organization policy. If the work colleagues are not supposed to have live-in relations and still they have, then both can be made responsible. But live-in relations harassment cannot be brought at the workplace harassment. There has to be some sexual harassment. At the workplace, then only internal committee. So internal committee will scrutinize depending on the various aspects. Next question.
Okay, next question will, yeah, sorry. Next question will take up Amit Kumar. Please be very brief, and then we'll, yeah, over to you.
Good evening, madam. From employer side, I am having a one question. The IC recommendation is to be implemented within 60 days, but the respondent is having right to appeal till 90 days. So can you enlighten on this particular position?
I just answered this question that when the employer will be informed that I want to appeal against this one. Even if the employer within 60 days the decision is taken, even if the appeal is a common law remedy, so anybody can go to court, either the complainant or the respondent, and if they go to court is going to restrain the decision which is given to by the employer. There are cases where the respondent is terminated unlawfully because he was not heard and still the committee recommended and the employer has terminated. The person has went to court has reinstated that person. So court has more powers. The employer will be informed that the appeal is in process. Please do not take action against them. Or already taken action, then the court will decide accordingly. Amit ji.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Right.
Yeah, so we are. I think we won't be able to take more question participants. So sorry for that. You can
Many
obviously
of them have written in the chat box,
definitely
but
we
we
can see.
will
I think
respond
today
to each of
I think
them.
received around I can see we received around 200 plus messages. If I'm not wrong, in chat box. It's the highest
Oh
so
my
far.
God.
Maybe because
Thank you for listening to me and liking. Many of you are writing an informative session. I thought, of course, all of the sessions, so we were not supposed to overlap each other. So I've not brought the cases, but I'm sure the coming sessions also. And I'll also be attending the other days. So thank you so much. Thank you for the Pro Bono India and Kalpesh Bhai for inviting me. And thank you for wonderful interaction.
Thank you
I
very
was
much.
enjoying from Monday, so I was really
Yeah.
excited for my session also.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you
I
so
request
much.
Dr. Sadha to give a formal vote of thanks to Dr. Krishna. Over to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am there. Sir, am I audible?
You are.
Okay. As stated by Henry Ford, coming together is beginning, staying together is progress, and working together is success. With these words, on behalf of the entire organizing committee, I would like to express my sincere gratitude for such an insightful, informative, and interesting lecture or session by you, ma'am. The word of Henry Ford, I really say we are making it true. We are coming together. We are discussing so nicely. The participants are actively participating. So I feel that somewhere the message which we want to give with regard to sexual harassment would reach to majority of the people, ma'am. With this word, I say thank you once again for enlightening us in such a practical way. And really, I also enjoyed the session. We learn a lot by this way. And with this, I would declare today's session end. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Let us be vigilant about our rights and let us create safe workplaces. Thank you so much. We'll connect tomorrow along with you as participant. Thank you. Thank you. Good night and have a lovely weekend ahead. Thank you so much.